Hey guys, thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of YOML. This is a fresh week and we are eager to get started. So we are going to be turning into part three of the book, The Ultimate Jim Rohn Library by Jim Rohn. Let's see, Chris, what you got?
Yeah, so finishing off our Jim Rohn collection reflections. The one we just did last week was the rock pile, right? Like it's about you and God, right? You're a team, in terms of being able to create stuff. For everybody that doesn't know, Jim Rohn is a success. What do you
Is he a
call him?
motivational speaker?
Yeah, motivational speaker. I mean, he's a world-renowned success philosopher, teacher, and motivator. So, like, he talks for a living about helping people, kind of like what we do, and that's fine.
It's a side product. I don't mind if I help people, but I don't care about it.
Right.
That's not my priority.
Fair enough. The final reflection that I went back when I was revisiting, this is one that's always stuck in my head for forever. I don't know what it is about this, but and that's why I had to work through it. So the idea, he had the saying that he said a few times, turning frustration into fascination. And it made me start to think about the role of questioning in our lives. I mean, we've talked a lot about questioning with like a more beautiful question and using your imagination and always staying curious. And all these things are incredibly important foundational elements to keep yourself, trying new things, challenging yourself, exploring new stuff, using that novelty to unfold time, etc. But, questions are literally the source of energy that I think feed the happiness engine is what I started this whole entire reflection off with. And we know when we were little kids, like we talked about this, like you just ask, I think, what was it, like 300 and some questions a day or whatever that we learned in a more beautiful question. And as an adult, questions is like breathing for kids, right? As an adult, I use the analogy of it's like going to a shopping mall. It's like you only go when you absolutely have to, kind of thing, to a shopping mall. Nobody wants to go to a shopping mall, especially anymore. It was like go beeline to the one store that you wanted to get the one item you wanted to get the hell out of there, because I just, I hated that place.
We're not made for the mall.
Right. Well, some people are. I wasn't.
No, we are not made for the mall.
Why not?
The women's are.
Oh,
they love the mall. They go there like.
As I said somebody is. I mean,
we, meaning you and me, the male counterpart, don't like the mall.
Yeah,
that's not who we are.
I hated it. I mean, hated every minute of going to that place. The analogy I was giving is like when we're adults, it almost is like I'll ask questions, but only when I absolutely have to, kind of thing. It's kind of a secondary thought a lot of times. It made me think about this whole quote of, why I love it so much, of turning frustration into fascination. One of the things that you and I have talked about many times, and actually I was just talking about this with one of my employees today, who's one of my newer employees that I inherited, and he's struggling with like reflective writing right now. And he was like, I don't know what to write about. Like, you can write about anything, ask any question or get any thought and start writing and then keep going from there. Well, and it made me think this is like such good timing today, because the idea of turning frustration into fascination, you want to work on your writing, you want to find a question to ask, like look at the shit that pisses you off, like just anything and everything, because you'll find a million questions when you start to think about like, why does this piss me off so much? Like, why does this really grind my gears? This day when I wrote this reflection of like, what pisses me off. So I wrote little things on here. Like, why do I always get so frustrated when my wife leaves her stuff lying around the house all the time? Like, why do I always feel so tired in the morning? Why can't I think of anything meaningful to write as a lesson for a book that I just recently read? Why does my dog always constantly interrupt me all day long when I'm trying to find some quiet time to write? Why am I struggling so much with my monthly challenge this month? What do I truly value in this world? What's my purpose? How do I find a way to live my life with my daughter each day, even though she isn't physically here? How in the hell do I transition out of my job? This is back when I was at Salesforce, so I can backfill that time with more meaningful work and further fulfill my purpose in the world. How can I create an ecosystem of helping others to do the same? How do I do all this while keeping the lights on and not asking my family to sacrifice their values, needs, and lifestyles? Anyway, long story short, I spent 5 minutes just thinking of things that were frustrating me in that moment. And like, I just wrote down whatever, I don't know, 15 questions, right? And questions are that lifeblood to happiness and curiosity. And one of the best places you can always look is turning your frustration into fascination. So whenever the shit that pisses you off, like, just go deep on it, figure it out, and keep talking about it. And then you have a question to go talk to God about, right? And then that's when the whole rock pile comes into play, because every one of those little questions you ask, and God will help you to find 10 more of those questions. And then you look up and you've created this amazing little garden. And it's all because you spent some time just asking some questions and talking to God about it and got some more questions. It all kind of compounds on itself as you keep going, right? It's really easy. If you struggle with trying to find a place to start with reflective writing, check out the shit that pisses you off. Turn your frustrations into fascinations and ask a question and start moving some pebbles, right? There you go. That was my reflection for the day.
So this one kind of put me on a fence a little bit because I do agree with some aspect of it, but not all of them. For whatever reason, I think the word turning your frustration to fascination somehow reminds me of eating the frog. To me, I think we have this the happiness engine, right? You mentioned the happiness engine. I don't
Yeah.
think the questions is what give us the happiness feeling. I think
Yeah.
it's the answer to the question. I think it's the answer to the curiosity what makes
Yeah.
us, because for me it's like there are so many questions. If the questions are unanswered, you could become frustrated even more. So the thing is, like I say, it's not about the questions. It's about if I ask a question, because when they ask a question, not because they want to ask a question, they want the answer. So the thing is, if you were to go and say, okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to start to question, and then you explore more questions, and these questions lead you somewhere. That's where you find the happiness, the happy feeling. But if you continue to make more questions, ask more questions, I think you could become more frustrated.
But then you get more questions when you're more and more frustrated, right?
But the thing is, that's what I'm saying is, if it feels to me like we're trying to eat the frog and say you shall like eating the frog because you pretend.
Wait.
I
But
mean,
you're saying frustrations. I think you're saying that frustrations only happen when you're doing something you don't like. I get frustrated all the time doing stuff that I do like. I get
but
frustrated
that's
all
what
the
I'm
time
saying is
playing.
it doesn't say, hey, the frustration in a good way, frustration in a bad way. How do you didn't tell me whether, hey, this frustration is different from this frustration someone
That's
else
fair.
saying, hey, right? So
Yeah.
frustration to me is straight out. Okay, frustration, what is it? Something you don't like.
Yeah.
That's what comes to my mind. And you say, well, like what you don't like,
No, I can see how you're saying that. Like
or find the good in the thing you don't like.
well, it goes back to words matter, right? Always be impeccable with your words. Things that automatically give a negative connotation when we're saying that's not really what I mean. That's not really what I'm saying. Frustration isn't necessarily a negative thing. I get frustrated all the time by my wife. She's not a negative thing in my life.
But the things he does is,
I mean, yes and no. I mean, sometimes it challenges me to become a better person, and that's okay because challenge is one of my core
well, to
values and
me,
what I
to,
like.
to me, that isn't the point. The point is something isn't to your liking or it is to your liking. That's just a personal preference. If you're a beaver, you like water. If you are
Well,
a lava swimming creature, you like hot lava,
yeah,
right?
you don't think that beavers get frustrated while dam building?
No,
I'm
I'm
sure
saying
shit they do.
I'm saying is everybody have frustration, but don't try to turn frustration as your focus. To me, that sounds contradicting,
You mean
counterintuitive.
you mean all frustrations? You're saying focus on the right frustrations.
Focus, yes, to me, is frustration isn't the point.
Okay.
Whether or not frustration comes in, it isn't the primary reason why you did something. If you did something because it aligns to your values or whatever, and it could have frustration or it could not have frustration. But don't go and say, like we're talking about, like focus on your pain, right?
Right.
Don't do that. Pain isn't what you need to focus on. There's things you need to focus on, and you might have pain, but that's just because by the nature of whatever you work on has pain associated with that. But don't don't focus on the pain that to grow. So
Right.
let's say you're working on something, like you're working on yourself, and you know that, hey, this is important to me. I would like the outcome to be this. It gives you the energy, but it frustrates you because there's certain things that you didn't get right.
Right.
So that's frustration. Your focus on frustration just came with the activity that you're trying to do, right? So if you say frustration, turn frustration to fascination, you think, hey, let's go eat the frog and pretend that I like it. So eventually I'm
That
gonna
could be
like it, right? To
right.
me, to me, that's kind of, and go back to what you say, hey, impeccable when you were. And I think the word frustration isn't the right fit in the way that I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, like I think it is just a tweak of the word, or a caveat to say, like, I'm sure you've been incredibly frustrated many a times coding in your life.
But
More
I'm not
frustrated
turning
than
my frustration into fascination. I'm not fascinated because I'm frustrated. I'm fascinated because of the goodness and outcome that makes me feel when
I
I'm
disagree.
able to build something. So I think it isn't. The thing is, so
It's the unanswered questions that drive me. Like when I'm playing tennis and I get frustrated, when I go think back,
No,
like,
no,
I'm
because
like, how can I be better at that? What did
if
I
I
do
make
wrong?
you
What?
frustrated, right? If you only
That's
talk
not,
to me
that's not
because
true.
there's something I'm doing and aligns with your core value that's worth, it's worth
That
like enduring that frustration for.
true.
Because
Like,
like when I say you go to work, right? And you don't like the culture, it's
right.
frustrating you,
It
but that
is.
doesn't make you want to stay there and trying to correct that person. What about the person you want to fire? If you say, hey, this person, I'm going to change that person because I'm frustrated with the way that he or she does things, I'm going to change it, right? To me, that doesn't make sense. Only if the work that you do at work is matters more to you,
That's
they
it. Yeah.
enduring the frustration. But if you say, hey, this thing frustrates the heck out of me, I'm going to focus more on it. I'm going to put all my devoted time and effort and forego whatever else that it makes me feel good on the inside. I'm going to focus on that. So imagine I'm doing that. Imagine I follow that kind of lesson that you give out. What would you say? You say, hey, doofus, that's not what I'm saying. But
No,
that's what I'm
I agree
hearing.
with you. I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying. Of if it's like if you go back to the rock pile, right? You can move pebbles all over the desert, but that doesn't mean you're going to create a rock. It doesn't mean you're going to create a beautiful garden.
Exactly. Moving the pebble is part of the thing that you want. Hey, you need a
Right.
border, whatever. The act of building a beautiful border and the design of it, that's the ultimate goal.
Right.
The moving of the pebble is just a part of that goal.
Right.
Don't
And
focus
so
on moving the pebble. You move it everywhere, right?
exactly.
So,
No,
so that's
I'm
why
with you
don't
on that.
focus on frustration, right? Frustration could be part of it, and that's okay. But as long as whatever you do, it is what you need to do or what aligns with what you need to become, then I think you focus on that. Focus on the curiosity and the outcome that it gives you and aligns to the answer. If you answer a question that basically is an agreement, once the agreement has been fulfilled, this is when you get positive emotion that you want, the happiness emotion.
Right.
Well, in order for me to get to the ending of having this positive happiness emotion, I need to explore. And the only way to explore is to ask questions. But to ask
Right.
questions with no ends, it frustrates you with more. But a question to get to better leads, better understanding, then you get better and better at it. Then you're gonna have a much
Right.
lighter feeling. Otherwise, you have this whole like the weight on your shoulder. That's what I feel like. I mean, imagine like when you were talking to your reflection and pretend that's cake. That's what goes to
No,
my
no.
mind.
You make me laugh. You made me laugh earlier when talking about the person that I want to fire really badly, and I am frustrated beyond belief. And trust me, I've been focusing on that, and I've asked a whole lot of questions, and I've turned it into a lot of fascination. But to your point, that's not worth it because the rock pile has already been. We're deep in building in the beautiful rock garden that's going on
Right.
over here, and this is like some weird little sculpture that I'm building out in the middle of the desert, where I'm like, this has nothing to do with that over there. No, you're right. You're spot on.
The title of the reflection sounds good because it aligns with the current societal.
No, it is right. It is true in the right situation. It's true around the stuff that is meaningful activity, meaningful work.
No, it
Yes.
isn't true because the
Yes.
thing is, you are making the frustration as the hero that turns you into something better. And to me, that isn't the case. It's not frustration that turns you to this better person or whatever. It is something else that happens to have frustration associated with. So
I
you're
couldn't disagree
you're
more,
putting a
honestly.
spotlight on frustration. Like I said, I mean,
Uh,
you basically convince yourself about this person. You would
right.
say, hey, frustration is the spotlight, but then you say, well, it's not worth it. So
Yeah, no, on the right things, right? But I would completely disagree with you.
this
It's
is the
rare.
same
It's rare.
discussion we had about pain. Pain
I know.
isn't the spotlight of what makes you grow. It's a discovery. Pain just forces you to discover.
But hang on. If you got it right every time, like if I play tennis and every single time I do exactly what I wanted to do, and let's say I won or lost, it doesn't matter. Like, but I did exactly what I wanted to do on the tennis court at all times. I would be bored by it. Like, I mean, like that's not happiness for me. Like the happiness comes from
That's exactly my
missing
point, though, Chris.
shots.
That's exactly my point, though. Tennis is something that you love. Therefore, frustration in that area is good.
Right, but it
Frustration
leads to
in the
questions.
area,
It leads to
no, the frustration in by itself without any context
Oh, I agree
is
with that.
all
I'm
bad.
with that. No, I'm with you on that. 100%. I agree on that.
Frustration isn't.
It's the
Okay.
source of curiosity, but make sure that you're asking the right questions, is what you're saying.
Yes, you
about
have to
stuff you
ask the
care about.
right question, and you have to did you do the activity that aligns with your core values, not just because it's frustration.
Right.
Don't endure frustration for the sake of say, hey,
Oh,
frustration is going to turn into frustration.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
What do you think? Without the contact that you knew with writing this reflection, you're gonna take it the wrong way. Think about it.
Okay, but hang on. But that's why we're talking about this. Like, that's why we do this. Like, this is.
I can't agree with
That's
with
fine.
it in its entirety.
I'm fine with you. We need disagreement because if we always agreed on everything, it wouldn't be fun either. I mean, let's be honest with each other. We certainly frustrate each other sometimes when we talk about something or challenge
No,
somebody else. Yeah, no, I mean, like frustrated in a good
no,
way, not in a bad way.
I don't get frustrated.
No, I mean, like we're frustrated, you
No,
know.
you and I'm not frustrated at all.
Well, I'm not either. What do you call frustration in a meaningful work activity?
I think the frustration in meaningful activity is you have these unanswered questions and you're curious about what it could be. And the act of not knowing would be a frustration.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm doing is I'm saying, this is what I see. You can tell me if you see something else. When I hear the word frustration, I imagine something that I don't want to deal with. You see what I'm saying? For me, is I could talk to you like this all the time and we can go for hours and
Yeah.
I'm having fun and I'm energized and I can say whatever. You can say I'm wrong, I'm pathetic, and whatever. It's like it doesn't even register.
That's right.
Me,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
frustration. Frustration to
You're right.
me
It's
is
not
like
frustration.
something that a feeling that I'm trying to avoid.
I hear you. So then, how do we turn frustration from eat the frog into eat the cake? Because that's
Because
basically
I think the
how,
like you say you gotta be impeccable with your word. I think frustration is not what you meant. Some kind of a possibility, exploration, opportunities, or something like that, right? That
exploration
to me,
opportunity. I like that. A
right?
meaningful
So
work
so
setting.
that's
Yeah.
what you're looking for. You're not saying, hey, I hate this. Just imagine something you have to do, but you hate doing it, and it frustrates you. To me, that's a negative emotion that you want to avoid.
I agree. So like I could explore. I have an exploring opportunity with this troublesome employee. I don't want to explore it. Like
But that's the
yeah, right.
frustration, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah.
frustration. But when you say, well, I'm playing tennis. I want to do
I
this. I
want
want to
to
do that.
explore why my backhand,
Right.
my volleys are, always,
It's
going in a
stronger,
different.
it's weaker,
Right.
it fall to
Yeah.
the right, fall to the
Right.
left, like these exploration opportunities. But
Right.
that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
But in the other environment, say, I don't want to deal with this thing.
I,
It give me a headache, right? I
I
want to avoid.
I want that like a hole in my head, Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right. No, I like
And
that.
that,
All right.
and that's the thing is, when I'm building something in coding, there are certain things that have been done, and I want to know how can it be done? How can I use what I know to make something new? This is an exploration opportunity.
Yeah.
For me, that carries it motivates me to do more and more. And to me, that's not frustration. It's just that, hey, there's just unanswered questions that I haven't yet to ask and explore. But at the same time, I want to be looking for answers. I don't want to looking for answers in the other environment where I have no interest in
Yeah.
whether this becomes
Yeah.
success or failure, whatever. I have no interest in it. So to
Yeah.
me, it's a waste of my time, and to me, it's a give me a headache. I don't want to deal with it. So to me,
I'm
that's
with you.
I would label frustration. Over here, I don't know what you want to call it, but I say it's not. To me, that's why I'm saying is the
Well,
word matters in your head about what frustration comes to your mind. But for me, it comes as this ugly ugly image of, hey, something awful I have to deal with and I can't get what I want. Right. And to me, that's
oh
frustration.
no, the stupid thing the truisms we've been putting on here, because I'm not paying for my Slack instance for Clubany right now, like they're locked out. We're gonna have to pay those to get those off there someday. So
Yeah, we just have to pay. Well, we do a trial, just get them all out.
right. No, I love that. That's good. Oh, I feel purged on this one actually. I feel good. I like the correction. That's why we do these things. So I'm good. Any final thoughts for you on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the modified version. It's exploration opportunity. I think that aligns with who we are as a human being because for us, it's about exploration and discovery. Discovery is what makes us fulfill.
Right. Well, unless it's discovery of shit you don't like.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
Sorry, I neglect to mention
Because I can discover why I do not like this person and why they are not a fit
Yes,
for the culture we're
yes.
trying to build.
Totally agree on that.
Awesome. All right. Well, great insights as always, and thanks for your conversation. We'll look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. The question we can leave with you is, what questions come to mind when you think of what is frustrating you right now? But the good things about things that you really care about. Exploration opportunities is what we'll call it. So thanks for joining, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Good night.